beautiful creatures of the world, and welcome back to Coffee with Kerri-Lynn. We are in the great outback in my secret garden underneath the meditation and wellness tent. And today we are going to be knitting Homesteader cozy socks. I designed this pattern about 13 years ago. We keep a basket of Homesteader cozies by our front door in the winter. And when you come over to visit us, you kick off your wet, snowy boots and you can pick any color that you want out of the Homesteader cozy basket, and you'll have a nice pair of cozy warm slipper socks to wear around our house. And if you really like them and you want to keep them, we let them walk out the door with you as a parting gift because they're just super easy to make. When I designed this, I had a few criteria. They had to be easy to make. They had to be a very forgiving pattern. In other words, if I made a mistake and noticed it 15 rows down, I did not have to rip all the way up to the mistake to fix it. You can kind of blend the mistakes into the pattern, and they had to fit both a man and a woman's foot, so they're versatile. They're designed after the slouchy socks of the 1980s. Remember the 1980s when you had to have slouchy socks? It was a very important fashion accessory. Not only did you need slouchy socks, you needed slouchy socks in every color under the rainbow. So if you were going to school in the 80s, y'all had slouchy socks. You know what I'm talking about. And that's what I modeled the pattern on. Now, if you are a beginner to knitting socks, you can make these socks without a problem. All you need to do is know how to knit into purl. If you are an expert sock knitter, you can put out a couple pair of these socks on a weekend. They are that simple and easy to make. So, without further ado, let's make Homesteader cozy socks. I am not putting up a written pattern for these socks because that's not how things worked in the old days. Even when I was a kid, when I learned how to knit, I had to learn how to knit basically without a pattern. I sat with my grandmother and my aunts and my mom, and we'd sit in a knitting circle and they'd show me what to do. And I would do it. And that's how this is going to work. I'm going to show you how to make the sock, and you're going to make it. Very, very simple. You will need size 6 double point needles and 330 yards or 200 grams of worsted weight yarn. This is my hand-dyed worsted weight. Frankenstein is part of the Halloween collection. And we are going to begin making our sock with a half hitch. And hello, Buddy. Buddy is joining us. We are going to now cast on 56 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a stretchy cast. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we now have, through the magic of video, our 56 stitches have been cast on and divided between 4 double point needles. That's 14 stitches per needle. This red yarn is your marker signifying you're coming to the end of your round. This stitch on your 4th needle right after your marker is going to be the last stitch of your round. Now I'm going to join my sock with a knot join. Some people do a knit join. I do a knot join. That is the way of it. It's easier for people who are just learning how to make socks. Mittens are the same way with a knot join. They can get fancy with a hidden knit join later. So now I've got needle 1, needle 2, needle 3, needle 4, my last needle. My red yarn signifies the stitch after it is the last stitch of the round. We're going to make the cuff, the ribbing of the Homesteader cozy slipper sock. And the ribbing is very, very simple. You're going to knit in the round, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, all the way around. When you come to the red piece of yarn or your stitch marker, you're going to just slide it. You're not going to knit it. You're not going to purl it. You're just going to slide it. And that will be your last stitch. It will be a purl stitch. So we're going to begin our working thread. Now, double point needles, people don't like using double point needles. It's what I learned on. So for me, for the first few rounds, they're wonky. Especially the first round. You're going to make sure that you don't twist your needles, you don't twist your stitches. So what I do is I just kind of brace my first round on a table. If I don't have a table, I just use my lap. So I'm going to knit 2. And then I'm going to purl 2. And like I said, the first round is going to be your wonkiest round. The second round is going to be slightly wonky. And then after that, it's fairly easy to work with the double point needles. Now we're going to knit 2. Then we're going to purl 2. Like I said, you're going to knit 2, purl 2, all the way around. You're going to do this pattern 6 times. So when you get to time number 6, then we're going to start making the leg of the Homesteader Cozy slipper sock. And once again, through the magic of video, and get ahead of you a little bit, we are on the 6th round of the cuff. In knit 2, purl 2 pattern. Now if you want a little bit less cuff, do 4 rows. If you want a little bit more cuff, do 8. You do you. Like I said, this is a very forgiving pattern. And now I have 6 rounds of my cuff ribbing. Knit 2, purl 2 all the way around, 6 rounds. Or 4 or 8 or whatever you want to do. Now we're going to get on to the leg of the sock. Very simple. Very simple. We are going to knit, and that's all we're going to do. We're going to knit every single stitch. I'm just going to knit. This is a very relaxing, this is the relaxing bit. The entire leg of the Homesteader Cozies slipper sock is knit. Back in the old day, this is how everybody learned. You just followed along with somebody that knew how to do, and you imitated. Every sock has the same basic structure. Every mitten pattern has the same basic structure. Use a little more stitches, a little less stitches, smaller needles, bigger needles, smaller needles and bigger needles. And apparently I can't knit and talk today. Finer weight yarn, heavier weight yarn, it all changes the pattern a bit. But the basic structure is the same. If you take the Homesteader's Cozy slipper sock and you use a finer weight of yarn, a finger weight, and a size 0, 1, or 2 needle, you'll get a form-fitting sock for your foot. If you use a thicker weight than worsted weight and you use bigger needles, you will get a bigger sock. Which means you'll have to do less rows. And we're continuing around in the knit pattern. Now we're not going to count the rounds on the leg because we're going to measure on the leg. We're going to do it by inches. Because I find when you're making socks for random people, this pattern I do identical 56 stitches for me, 56 stitches for himself, and I get a man's and a woman's sock out of it because I measure. Now we're going to continue in the knit round on your slipper sock. You're going to continue till you reach 8.5 inches long from the top of your cuff. And that's why we're not going to count rounds, because we're going to measure it out. And I'm going to leave you one more time for a bit while you knit your sock down until it measures 8.5 inches from the top of your cuff to the bottom of the leg.